I mean, hope so. I think so. Yes, there will be a good signal here. I need to just read a couple of encounters emerging. Let me see. It's so difficult now. I'm not in my studio, so sometimes I won't be playing. I will be playing music. If I'm in my studio, I'll play music, and while playing the music, I'm sharing the video at the same time. But this time, because I'm on the soil, I'm in Liberia. I'm using one camera, and that is it. So because of that, I find it difficult to play music and entertain you a little bit before the start of the discussion. But it's great to be back. Let me say good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Enjoying the cool atmosphere in Liberia. There's no place like home. Breath of fresh air, very fresh air that we get here. There's nothing about huge industries here wherein we worried about air pollution. Anthony, how are you? We don't have big, very large locomotive here, so we don't have to worry about air pollution as well. We don't have too many airplanes coming here, moving here and there, and so we don't have to worry about air pollution. So every fresh air, every air you receive here is very fresh, especially, the backgrounds and, got trees, some in places in your yard you get, your flowers, you get other trees like coconut, you got palm tree as well, and other flowers and things. So the beauty of nature is sometimes just right before you. It's a pleasure. Let me see if I can connect this microphone as well for audibility. Yeah, so the microphone is now connected. So yeah, so it's great. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. It's great to be back here. It's great to be here with you on the platform. I would appreciate any of you without any kind of stress put on you, but I would appreciate if you can share the video or on any of the pages that you're on. That's one, you showing that you love my show, and you love to follow it, and of course you love to contribute, and that's part of contribution as well, especially if you come on the platform and you see the caption there. You come on the platform, it's great to always just share and invite somebody to watch the show. In most instances, sometimes people that somebody you might invite could even have more interest in expressing thought about what the person will be discussing. So that's why whenever I'm watching somebody live show, I always share to show the support for them as well. I will share in 3, 4, 5 pages that that are on Facebook, groups that are on, just to at least tell the person that I love their show and I support them, whatever they're doing as well. So yeah, it's great. Great atmosphere. Weather stay perfect in Liberia. Well, it must rather come there. Let me put it that way. Let me first of all take this time on behalf of Justice Forum Liberia, based in the UK, to extend our thanks. Our sincere condolences to Honorable Lawrence. His body was removed today and taken to the State House, where my understanding is that it will be there for the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, and then interment will follow on Saturday, I think. So today, Monrovia, especially from Painesville or from Monrovia Central going towards Painesville, the traffic this morning was, was really not good. Was not pleased, was not pleasing at all. Traffic was not really good. Yeah, and you have to give up on the traffic after driving for nearly 2 hours between the AWA Junction and Cadley Junction. And so let me say a big sorry to, on behalf of Justice Forum Liberia, to Madam Lawrence, also representative as well, for the death, for the homegoing of the husband, Mr. Honorable Lawrence. It was a tragic, very tragic, and of course sorrowful death as well. And we want to say, may your soul rest in peace, and let's hope that your family will overcome the agony and whatever they've been put through your demise in the earliest possible time. So we say, sorry, Yama, sorry. We are with you in these difficult times. Before I go, I will start by reading you a poem. This poem, I wrote this one with respect to the war. Welcome, Big Brother, and of course the veteran Ashford Garley, who actually has organized a kind of a football match at the Summer Canada Sport Complex on his platform. Really good one as well. Welcome, it's great to see you. My sister is also in the house at the Woko. Welcome as well. Okay, I'm going to start off by first of all just sharing with you my little contribution I'm doing for Mama Liberia. Some of us, we decide to talk because we want to really affect a change in our country. And so when we are doing the little we can do, we want those that are, especially those that are in the position that can actually affect a certain change, or changes in general. If we don't see them doing it, and those of us that are actually very limited in doing it, if we are doing it and we see them undermining us indirectly, we feel bad. I feel bad when I hear about corruption. I feel very sad when I see Liberian corrupting us and corrupting the nation. I feel bad. I feel bad when I go in communities and then I interact with Liberians. Hey God, ain't no way problem, man. Yeah. You start doing your good talking and networking, and they interrupt you and just stop you from talking. Come on, man. And so before I go further, I just want to let you know I came back home with at least a project on hand, and already let me appreciate all of you that signed up to volunteer for our textbook and foundation launch coming up in May. Those of you that actually inbox me your contacts, overwhelmingly we've got so many people that are interested to volunteer for this day, for this launch, than anticipated. So this is a great one. Thanks to all of you who have decided to join us to have this all important occasion. And so I came with a project, and that project one is a launching of a textbook that is now completed. Police officers are friends, not strangers. It's completed, and we'll be launching it. The Max Kpakio Educational Foundation will be launching it together with the foundation itself, Educational Foundation, the Max Kpakio Educational Foundation. coming up shortly, hopefully by the 12th of May. And this book is targeted for those of our kids who are in the second and third grades across Liberia. The main aim of this book is to teach our children about safety, safety in general, safety when they are out and about. Once they leave their homes, their safety. In this book as well, in the textbook, they will also learn about police and policing as well. In this textbook, children will also actually be drawn to reading comprehension as well. And so this textbook, Police Officers Are Friends, Not Strangers, will be launched on the 12th of May by the grace of God. The reason behind this book is this. I'm going to reserve this exclusively for the book anyway. Let me just introduce it. And then also I came along with another copy, something like a manuscript. This is the title of the new book I've decided to write. This one says Sata and Che are off to school. But this one exclusively is on corruption. And I've decided to target grade 4 or grade 5 and possibly grade 6. The reason for this is if this book is published, is out and go in the classroom, my quest is that in order for us to achieve fighting corruption, if we are to actually overcome corruption or to minimize corruption in a way, we have to go in the classroom and we have to teach the children. The children have to know what is corruption in general. We have to start way at the bottom there, so that by the time they reach to a certain stage, by the time they are getting out of high school, they've known a great deal of corruption. And so, if they want to become good citizens now, they will take seriously that corruption is a bad thing, very bad thing. So that's the reason I decided I want to go in the classroom and tell the children the story about corruption. So when we start from the bottom, by the time they are prepared, perhaps, to become responsible, even in their homes or whatever it is, they will have it at the back of their minds that corruption isn't good at all. So this is the second book I have written. I just brought the manuscript and I'm going to share. I'm going to sit with the Ministry of Education and discuss it with them, for them to peruse it and give me their advice. And from there, once I'm back in the United Kingdom, we will send the book to print, and it will be out hopefully by next year. All right, so that is it about that. We're here to talk about the War Crimes Code, and we're here to talk about reasons that we really want the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Code for Liberia. We will continue to make our case. We will continue to educate those that are still somehow limited with respect to they haven't actually grasped what we've been talking about. They are still in that kind of a dark days. They still don't even know, majority of them don't even know what they want anyway. Or majority of them do not even know what is a war crime. War crime. They don't know it. And today I'm going to sit here to educate some of these guys, those of the guys that are in doubt, that you have no idea what a war crime is. I'm going to read you some documents here so that you can get an education relative to this project, to this subject. so that at least perhaps your argument and counter argument you've been putting out there, you can have a second thought. Because yesterday I had an experience yesterday live in studio. We're talking about the establishment. We're talking about the war crimes code anyway. But it was somehow unprecedented the way the presentation were made by the presenter in studio. Okay, I was invited to perhaps what my thought was, I was invited to go and talk about my project that I'm here for, the book launch and everything. But to my ultimate surprise, I got kind of like approached to share a platform with somebody and talk about the war crimes code, you know. And this individual, as far as my experience yesterday is concerned, this individual is I mean, sorrowfully, so limited with anything that he's talking about against the establishment of war and economic crimes code. Yes, so limited. And it got to the point where I even got pissed off in studio and I have to walk out. To all of my fans who were listening at that time, I do sincerely apologize. But I wasn't treated in studio well by this guy. So I decided to leave. And one, I wasn't even told that I was invited to share a platform and discuss something like that with somebody. So it was, I mean, I was kind of just not really in the rightful mind when the fellow started talking about issues that, for him, as far as I know, he knows nothing about. Yeah. Although I might say, you know, I shouldn't have walked out also, but he took the argument, you know, just too far away. Because first of all, this is the guy that doesn't even know me. I don't know him. Okay? And the first thing he said after the guy asked me in studio and I talked about, you know, some of the reasons why I am supporting the establishment of war and economic crimes code for Liberia. After I landed, then this guy just came on and said, "Oh, when the war was being fought in Liberia, you were just there in Europe eating your hamburger," and that really got at me. It got me to the point like, you know, this guy was just playing mockery out of my parents, my dad that died in the hands of those blood-tested people. My uncle that was killed in the hands of those blood-tested people. So he was so insensitive to the issue. And at the end of the day, I have to leave. I have to leave the studio because even the presenter asked him to even apologize because I said I was annoyed. He got me really annoyed. Why would you just come out and presume that those of us that are in the diaspora, we left from here just before the war, and we're just eating hamburger while our parents were being dying here? Why would you? I tried to advise him. I said, this is a very sensitive issue. When you're talking about once you're talking about war crimes code in Liberia, you're talking about the war, the madness that took place in Liberia. Be very, very mindful of the language, the choice of words, or the way you portray other people. Every Liberian, I can tell you, even those that were born in the diaspora and they never saw it and they physically never experienced the war, they felt it. They felt it. And so, why would I say it with somebody sharing a platform with somebody, you know, talking about war crimes? No matter how bitterly I'm against the establishment of war and economic crimes code for Liberia, I'm not just going to presume that individual did not witness the war. I'm not just going to throw words at them and say, when we were here in Liberia, you were eating your hamburgers you were eating, your whatever it is, in Europe, in the diaspora. I mean, how insensitive would I have to go to that extent? This is how the gentleman went yesterday, and I have to walk out of the studio. I do sincerely apologize to all of my fans and those of you that were actually following the show. I do sincerely apologize, but sometimes we have to take these decisions so that people can learn, so tomorrow they can repeat similar things. Thank you. All right, we're going to be talking about the War and Economic Crime School for Liberia. But first of all, let me read a poem to you. It's so dear to my heart as well, because this poem actually connects me and reminds me of the civil madness that took place in Liberia. Madness. It's not civil war. Madness that took place in Liberia. It was never civil. It was never civil. It was madness. I wrote this a long time ago. It's published already in the UK. Thank you, whoever sharing the video. I say thank you very much. Okay, this poem is entitled "False Dawn." False dawn. In the dark green twilight of the jungle, deep in the heart of the one, the mother gave birth to the people. Now the land is laid waste by their sons. But we who remained in the shadows, we who remember our names, we know that they were our brothers, and one day they will be again. But remember the blood of our families, in the color of each crop we grow, the invisible color of freedom, to live with our hate, but to know. We saw them smile as they killed us, and they gave us their lives for our land. But their word and their food hasn't filled us, and our time must be close at hand. They can whisper their lies on the airwaves. They can howl their lies at the moon. It was a false dawn that they showed us, but the true dawn will be with us soon. Thank you. I wrote that poem many years ago now, but it's still fresh. And I always like to remind myself, when I'm reading it, I think about my parents, my dad, my uncle. I think about many Liberians, the 250,000 people that they killed. I think about them every time in there. But here, let me just take you now into some historical information about war crime code, or war crime, sorry. What is a war crime? Because there are many guys who are, especially those that are counter-arguing, that they do not want us to establish war and economic crime school for Liberia. They do not even know the meaning of a war crime. They don't. They don't know how war crime is spotted. They don't know when and how should a war crime be investigated. They don't know. And so this is it. For the benefit of education, today I'm only going to deal with some of the historical facts surrounding a war crime. What is a war crime? This is it. We're going to start with the trial of former Bosnian Serb leader, that's Radovan Karadzic, at The Hague, throws a renewed spotlight on the prosecution of war crimes. When they took this Bosnian president, You know, when he was caught then, and they said, well, they got to take him to court, and war crime court is a month or so. You know, many people were against it. Oh, that former president, this and that was in his own country in Bosnia. But he committed heinous crimes. And at the end today, even though he was the president of Bosnia, he had to pay the price because he commanded, he directed the war and killed people. But what exactly are war crimes? What body of laws do they refer to, and who has the right to try a suspect for such crimes? The concept of war crimes is a recent one. Before World War I or World War II, it was generally accepted that the horrors of war were in the nature of war. But during World War II, the murder of 7 million people, mainly Jews, by Nazi Germany, and the mistreatment of both civilians and prisoners of war by the Japanese, prompted the Allied powers to persecute the people they believe to be the perpetrators of these crimes. The Nuremberg trials in 1945 and 1946 led to 12 Nazi leaders being executed for war crime. In 1945, 1946, they didn't play with them. They caught them, they killed them right away. So you see, war crime, when you commit war crime, it is not a crime to play with. A similar process started in Tokyo in 1948. 7 Japanese commanders were hanged, though the Allies decided not to put Emperor Hirohito in the dock. Several of them, they hanged them because they committed war crime. And the nation, those nations, thought that if they don't take a step immediately, the generation that saw them doing this act will feel that it is good, and so it has the propensity that they will copy the same and take that trend on board. So these countries, they decided that they would take immediate step, and they executed them. These were leaders, high-profile individuals, but they were in the dock. And after they found them guilty of committing a war crime, they killed them. Today we're talking about sentencing. Yes, even the international community. The international community. Right now, nowadays, they are against execution by any means. So that's why life sentence is there. They send you to jail. At least your family will be able to see you, or whatsoever it is. This is the world order of today, the 21st century. But then, if you're found guilty for committing a war crime, you'll be killed. They kill you right away. They finish with you. You're done. These trials were essentially the precedents for the cases that the modern day tribunal in The Hague hears. So similar of what was happening yesterday in 1945, 1946, 1948, it's the same trend that taking shape today at The Hague. except for the punishment, is no longer the same. They find you guilty, they send you to jail. If they're alive, they're alive. If they put years on you, the years they will put on you. In addition, individual governments, feeling that justice has not been done, have acted on their own initiative. So like in the case of Rwanda, you know, there are, if you ever watched the movie Dogs of War, it was copied directly as a result of what took place in Rwanda. The Hutus and the Tutsis. If you watch that movie, what exactly happened in Rwanda? Massive killings, ethnic cleansing, it took place there. Today, people are still being hunted. Today, individuals themselves do not even want to return to Rwanda. They live in exile. Some of them have died in exile. They don't want to go back because, why? Society will reject them. They don't want to go back because, why? They will send them to court. Fingers will be pointed at them. They will be arrested for what they did in Rwanda. So some of them are dying in exile. So let people stop playing with this war crime thing. When you commit a war crime, you got to pay the punishment. This happened most famously in 1960 when Adolf Eichmann, a high-profile Nazi closely involved in the organization of the concentration camps and the policies of the Holocaust, was tracked down in Argentina by Israeli agents. You see, they threw it here, they're gone to another country. That is exactly what US is doing, Europe is doing. They're arresting them one by one. Yes, you committed a crime in Liberia on your own soil or so, but so long you are here and you're living on our tax, you're living on our tax, you're living on our resources also. The crime that you committed in Liberia were so heinous that we have to bring you to justice. That's why they're arresting them. Similar thing was done. These guys, they left their money, they escaped after the war, and they thought they would have gone free. But even up to now, they are arresting some of them. Some of them are very old now. But they're arresting them and sending them to jail. At the heart of the concept of war crimes is the idea that an individual can be held responsible for the actions of a country or that nation's soldiers. You see, you hear the one. At the heart of the concept of war crimes is the idea that an individual can be held responsible for the actions of a country or that nation's soldier. In the case of, let me bring Mr. Chancellor in. Yes, he was sentenced. He was in the dock at The Hague for crimes committed in Liberia, for aiding and abetting. That means he was a constrained man, and he was a leader. So he is responsible for the actions of a country or that nation's soldiers. So those rebels and things that he was commanding, he's responsible. So you have to take responsibility. That's what he's trying to say here, for the educational purpose. He was kidnapped and taken to Israel, where he was put on trial and subsequently hanged. That's the Adolf Eichmann. You know, he left and went to Argentina. But then they kidnapped him and take him to Israel. They took him to Israel. Was put on trial and subsequently hanged. So when you commit these crimes, they hunt you. You are marked. It's not only by the country that you commit the crime, or the citizen of the country that you commit the crimes in. But people outside of that country, they will mark you. Because when you go in that country for safety, their security is also a threat. Because you are a wicked person. You are very wicked. You can kill. And that means you can kill any of their citizens anytime. So they are not safe when they get to know that you are in their country. They will feel insecure. This is why they are hunting them one by one. A more recent example was the 1978 trial of Klaus Barbie, a leading Nazi during the German occupation of France. Barbie was sentenced to life imprisonment. He was a leader, one of the leaders of the Nazis, Germany, during the German occupation in France. He committed crimes there. Barbie was sentenced to life imprisonment. He didn't go free. What making all different from these countries, my people? Then we refer to our country as a civilized nation? Come on, man. How can we be civilized when we are undermining civilization, or what constitutes civilization? Body of laws. At the heart of the concept of war crimes is the idea that an individual can be held responsible for the actions of a country or that nation's soldiers. Genocide, crimes against humanity, mistreatment of civilians or combatants during war can all fall under the category of war crimes. You listen to this again. Genocide, crimes against humanity, mistreatment of civilians or combatants during war can all fall under the category of war crimes. Genocide is the most severe of these crimes. And genocide, what's caused here? We heard it. Anytime you hear of massacre, it's different from somebody being murdered. Massacre. You put a group of people together. You don't like them. You hate them. They are from different ethnic groups. You put them together, 50 men, 100, and you kill them at once. You put them in one hole. That's genocide. It happened in Liberia. It took place here. Yes, it took place here. We have mass graves all around Liberia. That individuals did it. Liberians did it. The body of laws that define a war crime are the Geneva Conventions, a broader and older area of laws referred to as the laws and customs of war. And in the case of the former Yugoslavia, the statutes of the International Criminal Tribunal in The Hague, ICTY. Article 147 of the Fourth Geneva Convention defines war crimes as willful killing, torture of human or inhuman treatment, including willfully causing great suffering or serious injury to body or health, unlawful deportation or transfer or unlawful confinement of a protected person of the rights of fair and regular trial, taking of hostages and extensive destruction and appropriation of property, not justified by military necessity and carried out unlawfully and wantonly. This international laws or lawyers says is the basic definition of war crimes. Article 147 of the Fourth Geneva Conventions. It underlines everything and gives you the definition. What is a war crime? Let's just say that. So there's no if, there's no but. If you were involved, you got to pay the price. You are not more than the other people or the Nazis from Germany and other countries and Bosnia, former president and leaders also. You are not more than that. You are not. They committed a crime and They committed crimes and today they're facing it. Some of them are dead now. They hang them. The statutes of the Hague Tribunal say the court has the right to try suspects alleged to have violated the laws of customs of war in the former Yugoslavia since 1992. Examples of such violations are given in Article 3. You know, what happened then in Yugoslavia is a clear example. Sometimes we link it with what took place in South Africa during the apartheid or so. Apartheid system and, in Rwanda as well. Okay, these are the violations. Wanton destruction of cities, towns, or villages, or devastation not justified by military necessity. Attack or bombardment by whatever means of undefended towns, villages, dwelling or buildings. Seizure of, destruction or willful damage done to institutions dedicated to religion, charity and education, the arts and sciences, historic monuments and works of art and science. I'm coming to that. Plunder of public or private property. Even in Liberia happened. Welcome, Mr. Emmanuel Jackson. Great to see you on the platform. Another strong advocate there. Thank you very much. It happened. So even if we institute if we establish War and Economic Crimes Code, I read the TRC, okay? Even Nigerians are named in there. Yeah, Nigerians that came on the peacekeeping mission in Liberia. So Nigeria too, we have to pay the price. They did them stealing, they manhandled civilians and other people. So even Nigerians are inside. They got to pay some price also. Amos, another strong advocate. Amos, welcome. It's good evening from my end here in Liberia. Okay, let's continue with the definition and some information about war crimes. War crimes. Because majority of the guys that are against us that are preaching it, they don't even know. When you ask them one question, they go start telling you something else. Okay. The tribunal defines crime against humanity as crimes committed in armed conflict, but directed against a civilian population. You hear this one? That is how the tribunal defines war crime. The tribunal defines crime against humanity as crimes. Okay, welcome back. The network, Liberia, we're here. Okay, let's go to the next one. Murder, extermination, enslavement, torture, rape, etc. Genocide is defined by the tribunal as acts committed during intent. Sorry, let me read it again. Genocide is defined by the tribunal as acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnic, and racial or religious group. So when you bring yourself together and you say you want to eliminate one tribe, you want to eliminate this group because it belongs to that religion. When you kill them in that way, when you kill them in masses like that, that's genocide. And it took place in Liberia at the Lutheran Church. St. James Massacre. It happened there. That's genocide. And there are people who directed it. And they are around us today. So how can one person direct the killing of more than 100 people? And those souls are gone today. And they are sitting here and enjoying the fruit of the nation. Oh God, man. How mercy on Liberia? Because we are blind. And we are so narrow-minded. Lord have mercy upon us. But the law on war crimes is continually evolving. But the law on war crimes is continually evolving. In February 2001, the tribunal in The Hague delivered a ruling that made mass systematic rape and sexual enslavement in a time of war a crime against humanity. And it did it in Liberia. I want to read it again. In February 2001, the tribunal in The Hague delivered a ruling that made mass systematic rape and sexual enslavement in a time of war a crime against humanity. When you rape that individual and you feel that because you have that arm, you have that gun in your hand, you have something red crossing your head or so, and you call yourself a rebel, you call yourself special forces or whatsoever, you rape that child, you rape that woman, you rape that girl, it is a crime against humanity. You shouldn't go free. When you direct it, when you sit there and you have the power, you will power, and you sit there, you witness it happen, and you do not take any action, you don't stop it, you've committed a crime. Why should you be here and that woman is no longer here? Why should you be alive and that lady is no longer alive? Why? That's my question to you. Why? Why? Mass rape or rape used as a tool of war was then elevated from being a violation of the custom of war to one of the most heinous war crimes of all, second only to genocide. You see that? So rape is not good. In Liberia, we're taking it for a joke. Rape isn't good. It's heinous. It's a heinous crime. Imagine it's second to genocide. Imagine you raping one individual, and that is equivalent to a genocide, where you kill 100 people, 1,000 people, where you kill 200 people, where you kill so many people. So when you rape that individual, that girl, that woman, that baby, during armed conflicts especially, it's not an easy crime. You got to pay for it. They rape the women. They rape them to death. Some of the women are alive today. They're right here in Liberia. They see the guys who raped them yesterday. You see them moving around. Some of them are big. They call them big shot, big guys. I feel so sorry for these women. I feel sorry for them. And nobody cares. Let's continue with this education. Spotting a war crime. How to spot it. It is not always easy to spot a war crime. The displacement of civilians from their homes by an enemy army is not necessarily a war crime. It's not necessarily a war crime. It can be argued that the displacement is being carried out for the protection of the civilians. It only becomes a war crime if the expulsions can be proven to be part of campaign of ethnic cleansing or designed as a mass punishment of civilians. That happens. I think we heard that during some kind of those. Okay, we're back. Once the network is back, we're back. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Thank you, Ms. Warwood. I am very, very careful, and thanks for your advice. I'm taking every precaution. Yeah. I don't even use one car for 2 days. No. Okay. Or the SIM card. Yeah, one car or SIM card for 2 days. No. Okay. It only becomes a war crime, we're talking about, how they call it, the displacement of people. It only becomes a war crime if the expulsions can be proven to be part of campaign of ethnic cleansing or designed as a mass punishment of civilians. It happened in Liberia as well. One leader say, oh, that county, they hate you, this and that. Equally, it is a war crime for the air force of one country to bomb an enemy's television station because of the propaganda in the broadcasts. Under the Geneva Conventions, this is not a war crime. In fact, it was a question. Let me go back to that. Equally, and the question says, is it a war crime for the air force of one country to bomb an enemy's television station because of the propaganda in the broadcast? And this is the answer. Under the Geneva Conventions, this is not a war crime. Just about all aspects of a state's infrastructure, roads, bridges, power stations, factories, become legitimate targets if they might be put to military use. So it will become target. For example, if someone is stupid at start, or during the time during the war, during the civil madness or the madness that took place. Recently, I think first ECOMOS told that Chancellor forces were there. So according to this, well, ECOMOS was right to bomb. So if they use such venue to hide out or to prepare themselves or whatsoever, or to put themselves together, it's regarded as enemy territory. Okay, such attacks only become. Okay, welcome back. The network is still off and on, so let me try and finish quick. Such attacks only become war crimes if the extent of collateral damage to civilians and civilian interests resulting from the attack will be excessive compared to the military advantage gained from the attack. International Court. International human rights groups have long called for a uniform and global legal system for dealing with war crimes and crimes against humanity. International human rights groups have long called for a uniform and global legal system for dealing with war crimes and crimes against humanity. Apart from the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, established in May 1993, an international tribunal was established in Arusha, Tanzania, for cases resulting from the atrocities carried out in Rwanda in 1994. When I was talking first. Hey, Natasha, all the way there from Malawi. Natasha, welcome. How are you? I'm staying in Africa. I'm staying in Liberia. Welcome to the show, Natasha. Okay. Apart from the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, established in May 1993, an international tribunal was established in Arusha, Tanzania, for cases resulting from the atrocities carried out in Rwanda in 1994. So imagine. So people are talking here, where are you going to have the war crime? Where do you want to have it? Crime that were committed, the heinous crime that were committed in Rwanda. People were put on trial in Tanzania and Arusha. It was not about security, nothing. But the nation told it wise that it would be necessary, it would be prudent for them to have such a trial elsewhere. And they transported all of them. Took them there. Another is trying former Liberian President Charles Taylor over war crimes committed during the civil war in neighboring Sierra Leone. So they're talking about Rwanda case and they're talking about Sierra Leone. So the International Criminal Tribunal was also set. That's why they say another to carry out a trial of Mr. Chancellor over war crimes committed during the civil war in neighboring Sierra Leone. Although these represent significant further steps in bringing those accused of war crimes to justice, they are, like Nuremberg and Tokyo, committed to dealing with war crimes in specific conflicts. Finally, in July 2008, Suriname became the 107th country to join the International Criminal Court, set up in 2002 as the permanent tribunal to prosecute individuals for crimes against humanity. My fellow Liberians and fellow advocates, let us not turn back. Let us not turn back. Amos, if you're there, if you want to call, you can call. Let me see. Let us not turn back. War Crime Code, establishment of war and economic crimes code for Liberia is a must. I think Amos just left the platform. I wanted to bring him on. Liberia is of no exception. The countries are coming from giving you information or background information about. They went through it. Their so-called leaders caused huge damage to their nation and people. And they decided not for them to go free, that they should pay the penalty. Today, even former presidents have been sentenced. What can we send to jail a former warlord who is now a senator, a former warlord who is now a representative, a former warlord who is now a minister? Why? Are we different from Bosnia? Are we actually different from Rwanda? Are we different from Sierra Leone? Are we? Lucretia, I'm doing good. I'm protected by the Almighty God. And thanks for your concern and your advice as well. Are we? We are not. We are not different. We are not different. In fact, most of the time we boast, Liberian people, we boast that we are civilized. This is a civilized and sovereign nation. How can you be sovereign when you can govern your people? Why can you be, how can you be sovereign? How can you refer to yourself as a civilized citizen when you cannot do anything that actually resembles? All right, now we're off and on. I'm just about to end this live educational show on Profile Liberia. It's great to bring you this broadcast live from the soil itself. I'm so glad that some of you, we stay together despite the distance. We are stay together and very close as well. So thanks very much for following. Let me just share this with you before I leave. I think some of you saw a video that I put out this morning. I was on live. I left this morning, left my residence, and was en route for some other business meetings or so. I saw a group of citizens. They were right opposite the entrance of the president's residence, and they were there protesting, I think, because they have banners. And as a journalist as well, I saw it as a story of interest. I stopped and I went to talk to, I actually found out as to why were they there. Already I met people from the president's office. Were talking to the guys outside. And I went close by to hear what they were talking about. And I wanted to speak to one of the leaders, one or two leaders or so. So the first person I actually said, oh, I'm the spokesperson. But where we're standing, the other group were just by as well, where the president's officials were dealing with that group. They were asking them, I don't know what, trying to compromise with them also. So I asked the guy a question as to why were they there. So as he started to propound and give me information, the other guy, the same fellow that was asking the other people, asked me to introduce myself. And I took out my press ID card and gave it to him, my press card. He read it. He didn't make any comment. And so I let him go, continue with the people he was dealing with, and I decided to talk to this gentleman. And after he talked for about 2 minutes or so, I told him, I said, okay, let me hold you there. Can you talk to me on record? Can you talk to me on video? And he said, yes, I don't mind. I said, I'd like to also shoot a video on the placards that you have here, because they all have different writings or so. He said, yes. So I began shooting, first of all, on video, on recorded video, which I wanted to post later. I shoot that for about maybe 5-10 minutes, and I stopped. When I stopped, I decided to go live on Facebook, and I took on my phone and I went live this morning. As I went live, this tension started to mount between the protesters and those from the president's office, and I could hear some shouting. It's in the video. You can go on my timeline right now. It's there. And I talked to a couple of people, but it got to the point that that the dialogue was fading away, and so it seems to be the bosses from the president's office or residence commanded the police to push the protesters away from across the road. They were not even, okay, let me just give you an example of how the residents. So this is a main road, okay? Cars are going through this way. So here is the junction that you go in this way to the president's residence. And so this main road, the protester was on the other side of the road, facing the entrance of the president. You see that? They were facing the entrance of the president. But then the main road was between them, between the president's residence and the protesters. Meaning, to me, quite frankly, meaning that these protesters were not even on the vicinity of the president, or rather they were on the ground, that they were there peacefully just standing off with placards. They were not chanting, nothing. They were just standing up. And some of them were just expressing, "Uncle, we want help. We want help. Why? Asking questions." So, on and on, I started seeing scuffles. The police started. So the police asked the protesters to leave. And asking them to leave. And so the guys started walking away. But then at the same time, they started pushing them as well. Or giving them some kind of an extra help by way of push for them to go faster. And it was becoming somehow, kind of out of hand. And so I was scuffling between them as well, trying to really capture what is happening and things. And so the pushes got a little bit harder, and people were really pushed harder, yeah. And I said, well, I don't think this is how this should end anyway. So They push them and they push them really, really far away from the president's resident entrance. They really push them far away. And I was still rolling my camera live. None of the police officers, because the police officers, most of them, including their bosses that were there, saw my ID card and introduced myself as a press, and they saw it. So from that, intersection of the entrance of the president's entrance to almost 250 yards away, I was live on Facebook. None of them had a problem with me because they saw my identity. Now, another lady came, and she just came straight to me as my camera was up, filming, and asked me, who are you? So, and what I did in this kind of a scenario, what do you do normally? You know, if you don't wear your identity, always have it like that. So I had it like this on my diary, recovering my diary. I had it like this. So by the time she asked me, who are you, I show her my ID. I said, I'm oppressed. She got angry and told me to stop filming. I said, why are you telling me why are you stopping me from filming? I'm a journalist, I'm doing my work. This is news warfare. Boom, she came and held my hand, pushed my hand down. It was so good. I held my camera. I have to hold my camera now firmly. And she just pushed it down. I think the recording, the live stopped right there. And later on, she shot me to move. And I told her in the face that she wasn't right what she did. I said this was very, very unprofessional. That's what I told her. And I got to know that she is one of the directors of the EPS, Executive Protective Service. This afternoon, late this evening, I went to the entrance there of the president's house to formally complain. I got there, I asked somebody who is in charge here right now that I can speak with, and the other person sent me to somebody. I went to that, and I explained to him what happened, and I say I want to use this occasion to launch a formal complaint. And then he said, well, although I am now in charge here as the boss, but actually the lady you're talking about, she is my overall boss. So it'll be difficult for me to judge the case. I said, okay, I understand. That's quite fair enough. There's no way I can report you, I can complain your boss to you. So that's understandable. What should I do? You say, well, you have to come here in the morning. So tomorrow morning, I am going back to the president's residence. I'm going back there to meet herself, and I'm going to express myself to her, to tell her that I'm not happy the way she treated me yesterday. And let me hear from her, based on her choice of word. I am going, depending on the choice of words and how she would handle the case, I might end it right there. Anything contrary, I'm going to write a formal complaint to the Press Union of Liberia. I'm going to write a formal complaint and send it to the EPS Director of the Republic of Liberia, that is Executive Protective Service. The press is not the enemy of the president. The press is not enemy to the president. Such news is newsworthy. No journalist will pass by such news and just walk away. Then you are not professional. You are not doing your work. You are not doing your work. And if you are doing your work and you've been stopped by somebody violently like that, that person is infringing on your right. This is not good, and I will keep saying it We are not. The press is not enemy to the president's office. These are citizens. The majority of them, according to even what they were expressing, they were the ones that were standing in the rain yesterday. They voted this president. If they've gone, if they are gotten in the situation that they need help from the president, they have all right. It happened all over. You go to New York City, you go to the Capitol building, every day somebody is protesting. No police go there to push them away. Every day. Somebody's there with some kind of banner, pushing some kind of a case. Why should our people be different? Why? This is so wrong. The way I was treated today by this lady, I am really, really, really angry with it. I'm really angry, and I'm going back to her. I'm going back to her to face her to tell her that I'm not happy the way she treated me. Unless she issue an apology, I will take the case further. If it costs me to contact my lawyer, to contact a lawyer in this country, I will seek legal advice on it. But this is, and she coming telling me I'm a professional. I'm a professional security. How can you be professional and then you don't deal with issues professionally? You ask me why you are, I show you my ID. Then why should you? Who are you so much that you think you love this president more than anybody? That is not even your work. The president is not a threat by those guys standing there. I am not threatening the life of the president. Why should an EPS officer come and shut me away and stop me from carrying on my duty as a journalist? Why? Is that what president? Is that a training you guys are taking, and they're telling you that you shouldn't be friendly with journalists? That anywhere you see them, you treat them bad. I'm not going to let the case to rest, or else that lady could do it again. She could do it again. And because I don't want her to do it to another person again, I am going to meet her tomorrow morning. First thing in the morning, I'm going to walk there and meet her and express myself to her. Her failure to deal with this matter in a very respectful way, I am going to complain to the Press Union of Liberia, and I will write the director of EPS and complain her as well. If nothing is done to my satisfaction, I will seek legal advice on it. She shoved me. Had it not been that the two guys were behind me who actually helped to balance me up, I would have fallen on the floor and maybe hurt myself. I would have damaged my phone had it not been that by the time she came to hold my phone and force my phone to go down and say, stop recording. Why? What is the threat that these guys are causing there? What is the threat? The people standing so far away from even their house, from the entrance. The main road is between. Cars are passing, motorbikes are rolling. And you coming to tell somebody that these guys, the citizens are standing there with just placards, they're not saying anything. They're not using any profane language, nothing. They're just standing there. They are only speaking by the words that are actually written on the placards. Mr. President, please help us. Mr. Musa Belete is undermining our interests. Mr. Musa Belete company has taken jobs away from us. Please help us, Mr. President. We've been to the Supreme Court. These are some of the things that were written there. I can remember. We went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is not in our chief interest. Mr. President, we want you to help us. These are the things that were written on the placards. Why should any so-called EPS officers go there to remove these people by force? They don't have guns. They're not threats. They're not threatening even you yourself that went there to negotiate with them. They're not threatening. They're not using words. against you. They're only telling you, we came here, we want to stand here for our power to see us. Maybe our power will read our placards, or maybe our power will try to get involved, and maybe try to ask what is going on with these people. Because I saw two companies there. One is under Surex, run by Musa Ability, and the other one, LTC, that's a Liberia Telecommunication Company. So the two groups were there. Not really a large group, but they had their placards. I mean, those are the only guns I saw with them. Then you're going to treat your citizens like that. Pushing the guys. Using force on them. Only for this so-called EPS professional woman coming to shock me like I have committed some kind of heinous crime at that place. Shoving me and stopping me from doing my job. So I just thought to let you know, this is what happened today, this morning. Especially those of you, my brothers and sisters in the platform, especially those of you that, you know, always give me pieces of advice and things, follow me and give me pieces of advice and participate on our platforms here. I want to say, I just want to let you know this is what happened. I'm going to follow it up. I'm not going there to fight anybody. I'm just going to register my dissatisfaction and take it, you know, legally, and deal with it diplomatically. I love that's how I do my thing. I channel my thing diplomatically. If you don't respect the diplomatic way I deal with it, then maybe I take a step further. But I wasn't happy. I was humiliated by this EPS director. Well, this is she's the director anyway. So tomorrow I'll get to know more, and then tomorrow I'll come back and let you know the outcome of it. I want to say thank you so much for this afternoon. Thank you. But the quest for the establishment of war and economic crimes for Liberia is not going to stop. Let us not stop it. If, just if we have taken steps yesterday, maybe during the days of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, do you think people will come out today and say we are former ex-rebels? Hey man, I want people to really think about this. If we have instituted, we have implemented even the TRC recommendations, you think the guys will come out today and boastfully say we are oh man, I don't even know how to pronounce them, man, to be honest, because I never even thought that they are existing, that they are around in Liberia. No, I never thought. So now not knowing they are together and they're speaking on one accord. When I heard that statement from them, you know, I was like, it happened like it was just yesterday. They killed my uncle. It was just yesterday. They brutally beat my father, which led to his death today. After I heard the statement, it's like they're boasting. We are the ex-combatants. We are the ex-soldiers. We are the ex-rebels and things. That's what they were saying. What kind of country is this? Liberia, what kind of country is this? Where we find it so much pleasing to appreciate and celebrate warlords. War and economic crimes for Liberia is a must. No if, no but. President George Weah must sign to it. You must sign to it. These guys must go to bed in prison for good. Until then, this nation is a threat and will remain a threat because these bloodthirsty people are around. There are many, and they are boastfully passing around here. And we want to get rid of that. and prepare the future for our children. I want my children to have a future in Liberia. I don't want their future to be like mine. My future was damaged by the senseless war. I want to say thank you so much. I appreciate you. May God bless you. May God bless the continent of Africa. And above all else, may God bless Mama Liberia. I thank you. I'll be back tomorrow afternoon. By the grace of God, I'll be back tomorrow or day after. After I shall hear from the EPS officer. I will share the information with you. Thank you. I bless you. And I bless you all. Bye-bye for now. Thank you for appreciating. Thank you so much. I appreciate you too. Thank you. I thank you. God bless you again. God bless you. God bless Liberia. Bye-bye.